so in the meantime right now, I'm gonna head to this grocery store. And then after that, we're gonna go and get into this video. So today's video is gonna be about my top 5 adventure motorcycles in Europe. And I'm gonna tell y'all why I like each one. And then we're gonna go into break down the prices of each one, the horsepower, etc. And then we're gonna go from there. So y'all let me hit the store up, then we'll get right into the video. Alright y'all, so today's video is gonna be about my top 5 motorcycles for a person with a A2 class license in Europe, Spain. The reason why I'm specifying and harping on a person with an A2 license in Spain, because that's what I'm restricted to here. As I've spoken before in previous videos, the biggest thing I've noticed the difference between Europe and America is that they have a license restrictions here in Spain, and then in America, once you get your license, you can get any bike you want. For people who don't know, to knowledge them, in Spain you have 4 different classes for your license, and based on which class you're in, whether you're an A2, Class A, A1, you know, then that determines what CC motorcycle or moped that you can get. You can't go above that range based on how long you have your license, you know. So that's just a little backstory and a little informational education for people who was wondering. Now y'all, since I am restricted to an A2 license, which is 500 cc's or below, I have to look for a bike that can be compatible to 500 cc's or below. So I'm not going to get a 1,000 horsepower bike, or a 1,000 cc bike, I should say, my bad, and then restrict it down to 500 cc's, because that's basically what A2 is able to do. You get a high horsepower bike, but you can't use all the cc's until it's available, or until you meet that 2-year requirement in time. But let me go to this store, then we're gonna grab this watermelon, this bread, maybe some juice. Everything you on about the day. Alright y'all, so now we are out the store. I was in there a lot longer than I expected, but y'all know how it is when you go in the store. You say you're only gonna get one thing. I end up getting these little drink called Rattlers out here. It's like this little lemon, kind of like lemon beer, but it's not as heavy as a normal beers, but it's like really, really good. It's only like maybe only like 1 or 2% alcohol, like content in it, like not very high, but it's a nice little refreshing, like little alcoholic beverage that won't get you drunk or messed up, but it's like really, really tasty. So instead of drinking like hard liquor all the time, or instead of drinking like 15 heavy beers, which is 7 to 8%, 9% alcohol, it makes you feel super bloated. These is like a very refreshing drink that's like super enjoyable for like women, men, people who don't drink a lot. It's like the perfect drink to me. And they're very popular here in Spain. I don't know if they got them in America or not, but that's either here or there. Let's get into this video, y'all, and we're gonna tell y'all what my top 5 A2 licensed motorcycles is in Europe or in Spain as of right now. And all these bikes I've seen in person. I have not been able to ride them yet, but we're gonna base this strictly off pricing and looks and power and what an A2 rider can obtain here in Spain. Give me one moment, then I'll get y'all the details. Hey, I ain't gonna lie, I like this bike. Sounds good. Muy bien. Alright, y'all, so I'm gonna raise Jay. We're gonna go ahead and get right into the video. This is my top 5 motorcycles in Spain. Top 5 adventure styles to be specific. Let's go and get right on into it, y'all. So the first bike we're gonna be speaking about is the QJ Motor SRT 600 SX. We'll go and get right into the specifics, the engine, the weight, the fuel economy, and then we're gonna get into all the little amenities that the bike has. And then we're gonna finish up with the pros and the cons. All right, so first thing first, this bike has a 554cc liquid cooled DOHC parallel twin engine. It makes about 56 horsepower at approximately 8,250 RPMs, and give or take. The dry weight is 198 kilograms. Seat height about 805 millimeters, and then your fuel tank capacity is 20.5 liters. So let me see if I can convert this over to the American way. Give me one moment. Alright, y'all, so back to the QJ motor. I did get it converted for y'all, for the Americans or the people who are from other parts of the world who don't understand liters and kilograms and millimeters. So I got y'all. So we're gonna do a quick little recap. So engine, 454cc parallel twin, 56 horsepower, y'all. Weight, I'm gonna say weight 198 kilograms or 437 pounds. So it's not a extremely heavy bike, but if you're like a decent size guy, maybe 160, 170 pounds, 150 pounds, you'll have no issue with this bike at all. I've seen guys way smaller drive a big old Harley and maneuver it and be very much nimble on a bigger bike. So I don't think the weight is a big issue, at least in my opinion, but I'm also a bigger guy too. Fuel tank, 20.5 liters or 5.4 gallons. Now 5.4 gallons is actually a pretty big tank for a motorcycle, believe it or not. My 2000 Road King back in North Carolina, it has almost a 6-gallon tank on it, you know? So this bike having a big tank like that is really good, which you should not have to stop as much on road trips, but that also depends on your speed, how fast you're driving, and also how long you're driving too. So those are good considerations to take. Seat height is 805 millimeters or 31.7 inches. I have a video, I think I might have a picture of me sitting on that motorcycle. If not, I'll upload it. But for my fit, the QJ Motor SRT 600, it is a good fit for me. I'm not quite flat-footed, and keep in mind I'm 5'9", so I'm almost flat-footed. So for me, I can only imagine if I have my rider boots on, I'll be 100% flat-footed. I don't have no issue with standing on my tippy toes or anything while being upright on the bike or holding the bike up, you know. But that's just my personal opinion. So y'all, I wanna I apologize if I'm looking down at my phone so much. I made a whole bunch of notes on each and every bike, so I'm kind of looking back and forth and making sure I'm staying on track. So we're gonna go and get to the pros with the QJ Motor 600. So strong competitor at middleweight, adventure segment, a lot of modern features. It has heated grips, ABS, traction control, good fuel economy because it does have that tank that's 5.4 gallons, which will take you a long ways. It also has that very nice, comfortable seat that comes stock with the bike. They do have upgraded options, but I will say the cons of this bike, like I said, it is a newer and upcoming brand. You can't find as many parts for this bike, which is the bad part. But since you can't find that many parts, when you purchase this bike, it does come with a 6-year warranty. So that is the bright side. Yes, it may not come with parts, but you do have that 6-year warranty. And in my eyes, that gives that dealership enough time, or that brand enough time, to start stocking their inventory so parts will be available in the future. This is just my personal opinion. And the last opinion that I wrote down is, compared to some of the other bikes that we're going to speak about, it is one of the heavier bikes, but the power does compensate for the size of the bike. So it's more touring style, like on the highway. You know, you can put a luggage bag on there too, and it'll be fine. You know, but for off-road, it is a bit heavier for going off-road, but it does have that capability too. So like I said, that opinion is up to y'all. Now that we're done with the QJ Motor 600, we're gonna go on and move on.
Not too big, not nothing crazy. So it's about 1,000 euro difference between this one and then the other one I see.
Alright y'all, so the next bike we're gonna get into is the Royal Enfield Himalayan 450. Now, I'm gonna give y'all some of my opinion parts on this bike. This bike is a very simple, simplistic, not too complicated, like everyday beat around, very good pricing for this bike, and I don't see how you can go wrong with having this bike, honestly, in my opinion. But we're gonna get into all that in just a second, but let's go and get right to these specs. So for the specs for the Royal Enfield Himalayan, single cylinder, liquid cool, Sherpa 450 engine. It has about 40 horsepower, so yes, it is on the lower end, but it is very adequate for the people who are under that A2 license, which is the target audience I'm trying to hit right now. Even if you do have A2 or greater, like, or you have a Class A license, which you can drive any style bike, I think if you want to tone it down a bit and have a nice, fun adventure bike, I think the Himalayan is a bike for you. Now, fuel tank is 17 liters, and or let me transform the gallons. I'm sorry. And we're gonna hop right back into this Royal Enfield, the Himalayan 450, engine size 452 cc's, single engine, 40 horsepower, weight 200 kilograms. For poundage, because you know the scale is different between Europe and America, so it's about 441 pounds. Like I said, it's slightly lighter than what the QJ motor is, and that's okay. But also with the slightly lighterness, you have a smaller engine, so I'm pretty sure that plays a big factor in it too. Fuel tank 17 liters or 4.5 gallons. Now 4.5 gallons is not bad for a 450cc bike. That's still pretty good gas mileage as well. Like I said, you may stop a little bit more than what that QJ motor may stop, you know. So those are just things you have to look out when you're searching for bikes. Seat height, 825 millimeters and 32.5 inches. Now, I took a seat on the Royal Enfield Himalayan, not the 2025, but I think I took a seat on the 2024. The style is a little different, but the seat height, according to the dealership, is close to about the same. So I was able to put my feet almost flat on the ground. Like I said, I'm 5'9", y'all, so I feel pretty comfortable on each and every one of these bikes that we're speaking about today. I didn't have any issues. And yeah, then we're gonna get right into the pros and cons of the Himalayan Royal Enfield. Alright, so we're gonna go and get into the amenities that automatically come with the bike. So this bike, neatly styled adventure chassis with crash bars, comfort focus setup. Now the pros: rugged reliability, classic styling, cheap to buy and maintain. And American dollars, you're gonna pay about $6,500, give or take, based on which package you get. But for the base model, it's about $6,500 in American. And European money, or in euro, is 5,800. Yeah, about 5,800 euro. Total price, 4-year warranty on the bike, said and done. So it's not a bad brand to go with. Another pro about Royal Enfield, since it is a very popular brand and it's sold pretty much in everywhere in the world, every region, it is very easy to find parts and to upgrade the bike as time goes on. So you're never gonna have a feeling of, oh, I'm left behind, or I can't get my bike running because of parts. So that is one pro about the Royal Enfield brand, because it's their brand. They make everything in-house. For your information, if y'all didn't know, so they own all their parts, they make all their parts, so they have a huge inventory of the parts, so they can fix the bike. So if you want to go for your more safer option, you're like, okay, Royal Enfield's for me, because the availability they have in parts for stock, Royal Enfield is not a bad decision. Now the cons, and I watched numerous YouTube videos on this bike as well. And the biggest con that I've heard from it so far is that the RPM scream when you get on the highway, and also the bike is underpowered. Now, with that being said, the bike's underpowered. If you're a guy that likes to go a little bit faster or want to speed around cars, you can do that. But you kind of have to weigh out your options, give or take. Can that Royal Enfield take you to that extra speed or pick up that speed fast enough to get around that big tractor or that transfer truck or things of that nature, you know? So those are considerations you need to take when you're deciding that if that Royal Enfield Himalayan is for you. Another thing, one of the guys I watched on YouTube, I forgot his channel name, but very slow on hills. Like I said, the RPM scream, the engine gets very noisy when you have it up in the higher RPMs of the bike. And also the limit in speed, and also how much torque it provides to you immediately when you're in those tough positions where you have to give a little power to get out of that sticky situation, you know? So those are my pros and cons for the Royal Enfield. I hope y'all share, like, comment, subscribe to this video. Put down which bike you think is best for you, and then we'll go from there, y'all. Hey, y'all, so we are on to bike number 3, y'all. The Vogue DSX 500. The Vogue DSX 500 has a 471cc engine with twin parallel DOHC liquid cooled. It has 46.9 horsepower. This bike is still A2. Every bike that I'm speaking about is A2 ready and available, or can be converted to A2. The only bike that can be converted to A2 on this list is the first bike I spoke about, which is the QJ Motor 600 SRT SX. So it's a 600. You know, if you're A2, you're limited to 500 cc's, but that's fine. You're only taking off 54 cc's of that QJ Motors engine, right? Now back, my bad, I didn't mean to steal the light and shine. And let's go. Alright, now back to the Vogue DSX 500, right? So the bike has 46.9 horsepower. It maxes out about 8,500 RPM, which is almost equivalent to the rest of the bikes. Now I want to get into the weight. I'm gonna do the conversion to get it from kilograms to pounds, and then we'll continue with the video. Alright, now, so for the weight of the Vogue 500 DSX, it's 205 kilograms or 452 pounds. Fuel tank is 16.5 liters, which is less than the Royal Enfield and the QJ Motor 600. So just keep that in mind, y'all. The tank is about 4.36 gallons, which is not bad. It's not bad gas mileage, honestly, for a motorcycle. And then for the seat height, we're at 815 millimeters and 32.1 inches in height for the seat. Like I said, bro, I'm 5'9". All these bikes fit pretty comfortably for me. Now, I will give y'all my slight opinion. I have been looking at a Vogue DSX 500 for about 2 or 3 months now. And it's a Chinese brand bike, which that has nothing to do with it or anything of that nature. But I was looking to buy and purchase one of those in a place called, was it Rodanda, Spain, I think. And the guy wouldn't come down in price, so that kind of led me to where the path I am now on me deciding on what kind of bike I want to get, still. But we'll get right to the amenities and the pros and cons of the bike. Then we're gonna head on to the next one, y'all. Alright, y'all, so for suspension on this bike, we have KYB USD forks, mono shocks, adjustable preloaded rear shocks as well. So if you don't like the ride height or you want to be a little more springier, you can adjust the suspension on this bike. With this bike, it is a little bit more slim, not as wide as a bike as the QJ Motor 600, but it is a very nice all-around adventure bike though. For the pros, balanced power and handling, competent touring, and light off-road capability, decent suspension components. Like I said, the reason why I specifically spoke about the suspension components is that it's one of the biggest compliments I've heard on the Vogue DSX 500. The suspension is apparently very, very good for the style of bike, and it's made very well to adjust for your comfortability. Now, with that saying, as every bike has pros, it also has cons as well. So cons: limited support, service in some markets, average fuel tank size, not as widespread brand as others. So what this bike has in common with the QJ Motor is that it is a Asian brand of bike. Now, with that being said, it is a newer brand, and just like the QJ Motor 600, the Vogue has the same issue of supply and demand for parts and repair. So yes, the bike is a very good bike, twin cylinder, but when it comes to you having to find parts to fix something on the bike immediately, that's the bad part that comes into play. So it kind of puts you in a predicament where you have to go back to the dealership, or you have to wait a couple months to find that part, or they may not have the part in stock because the bike is newer and it's an upcoming brand. So these are the pros and cons you have dealing with different brands of bikes here in Spain. So now that we have that out the way, we'll go ahead to bike number 4, y'all. All right, y'all, we are now on, my bad, excuse me. All right, y'all, we are now on bike number 4. We're gonna go on hop right into this thing, y'all.
Benelli TRK 502X. They also have a Benelli TRK 502 as well. They're pretty much the same bike. One's an on-road package, one's an off-road package. That's the main primary difference between the two. Same bike for the most part. Let's go and get right into the specs. So engine specs: 500cc parallel twin, 47 horsepower. The weight is 235 kilograms or 518 pounds. Fuel tank 20 liters or 5.28 gallons. And then your seat height is 838 millimeters or 33 inches. So with that being said, the Benelli TRK is a very popular bike here in Spain, y'all. Just letting y'all know that. The Spanish love it. I believe it's an Italian bike, if I'm not mistaken. The price on it isn't too bad. You can get one for about 62 to 6,100 euro. And American, that'll be about 68 to almost $7,000, and give or take. But that's total out the door, 4-year warranty, ready to go, locked and loaded. So let's go and get into the good qualities, and then after we get to the good qualities, then we're gonna head straight into the pros and cons, y'all. We're gonna go ahead and get to some of the good qualities. Long travel adjustable suspension. 19 by 17 inch spoke wheels. Dual 320 millimeter front disc. Handguards, luggage rack, crash bars. Excellent value pricing. So like I said, this brand is very popular in Spain. So once you purchase this bike, it doesn't go down in value a whole bunch. This bike is very easy to find pretty much anywhere in Spain, and it's super popular. Now with that being said, let's go and get into the pros and cons. Touring ready, rugged adventure spec, affordability, strong accessory lineup. So Benelli TRK 502 is a more heavily influenced brand here. It's been in the game a little bit longer. So with that being said, their stock build up just as similar as the Royal Enfield has an immaculate way to find parts, super easy, very if you go down another city, it's going to be very easy to find another dealership that deals with that style of bike, right, or that kind of bike specifically. So with that being said, that's also a big factor that plays into choosing what bike you want. But this bike is definitely in my top 5, 100%. It feels, the bike, when I took a seat on it, it feels more top heavy to me because the tank is so big in between the handlebars and the actual seat where you're sitting. But other than that, it feels like a pretty comfortable bike. I personally have not took this bike out on a ride yet, just for reasons of the dealership and everything, which is understandable. But overall, it is a very solid bike, and you can find parts for it pretty easy, and accessories and amenities and things of that nature. Now the cons: the bike is heavy. I think it's the heaviest bike we listed so far. Now, with that being said, with it being heavier, it does make it less nimble than the Himalayan and the Vogue and even the QZ Motor, right? But it's still a comfortable ride when you're talking about longevity and distance and you want to travel somewhere far. So what do you want, a lighter bike, smaller tank, or a heavier bike, bigger tank, more mileage? But it's still in my top 5 though. This is no knock against the bike, but I'm asking these questions to y'all so I can put down in the comments what y'all honestly think. These are things you think about when you're purchasing a bike. And the last marketable part is the resale value is very, very high on this bike because, like I said, it's super, super popular in this bike. But now that we got bike number 4 out the way, we're gonna go and roll on to bike number 5. Give me one moment, y'all. All right, y'all, now we're on to bike number 5. The Mac Bar Montana XR 510. Now, this bike is a Chinese brand as well. We're gonna go ahead and jump right into these specs. Engine size, 498 cc's, parallel twin, 47 horsepower, which is not bad. It is still under the realm of the A2 license. So you can get on this bike if you're A2 or higher, get on this bike and go. It is a lighter bike. It's a very nice bike. It has 2 charging ports on it, LED lights in the front. It's a solid bike overall, y'all. But like I said, this is my top 5. You guys pick and choose what you like out of the top 5, and then we'll go from there. Make sure y'all comment down in the comment section. Don't forget. But now that we're done with these, almost done with these specs, we're gonna continue. Now the weight for this bike is 178 kilograms, 392 pounds. This is the lightest bike out of all of the bikes we have listed so far. This is the lightest one. Now with that being said, it's a lot more nimble, it's a lot lighter, but it does pack a powerful punch. That 498 cc is very handy when you're in a tight situation and the bike is not as heavy, and let's say you're going off-road. It's perfect, y'all. So now we're gonna go and get to this fuel tank. Fuel tank, that's a big fuel tank. It has a 20-liter tank, 5.28 gallons, seat height. It varies from bike to bike because they do have upgradable seats and they do have adjustable suspension as well. So seat height is 820 millimeters to 841 millimeters, which that'd be about 32.3 inches to 33.1 inches in ride height. Like I said, if you're a shorter guy, probably like maybe 5'5", 5'4", you're more than likely going to be on your tippy toes for sure. Me, I'm almost flat-footed and I'm 5'9", so I don't have a hard time with touching the ground with these style of bikes. So this gauge also your height based on. Okay, never mind. Alright, y'all, so this bike is positioned as a lighter A2 license friendly adventure bike. Price is about 6,199 euros or 6,850 USD in Europe. Gotta do the conversion rate because right now it's about for every 86 cent equals €1. So y'all just do the math there. It is a very lighter, it's a very smaller bike, so a lot of people like it because how light it is, and it still packs that powerful punch and power. Because you got that 498 cc's, right? Now, pros. Lightest, it's the lightest bike in the segment, agile, good ground clearance, twin cylinder, and refinement. Cons, pricing than most rivals, parts availability limited, and brand less known. So the same issue that the QJ motor has was also a problem too, and the Vogue, and also this Mac bar as well. They are newer brands, and it is harder to find parts. I'm not gonna keep beating the dead horse and beating the bush. Like I said, yes, it is hard to find parts for these bikes, but you also have your warranties. So the that being said, buy your bike accordingly. Now, with that being said, don't let the fact that you not having parts always readily available ruin what you actually want. If you want a Mac bar, get a Mac bar. Or if you want a Benelli, get a Benelli. Like, these decisions are up to y'all. I'm just taking out through the specs because these are my top 5 bikes that I've seen here in Europe and I like them. Now that we finished with that, let's go ahead and get into, that's pretty much about it. Now that I have taken y'all through all 5 bikes, let's do a recap for each one. First bike I took you through was the QJ Motor SRT 600 SX. Next bike I took you through was the Royal Enfield Himalayan 450. After that was the Vogue DSX 500. Then the Benelli TRK 502X. And then last and least, and the smallest, the Mac Bar Montana XR5 510. Now, these bikes are not listed in no specific order. These are just very popular bikes that I've been looking at in Spain since I've been here. Now, y'all make sure y'all comment down in the comment section, which out of these 5 bikes would you ride? Which out of these 5 bikes do you like the least? Which out of these 5 bikes would be your honorable mention? So y'all pick y'all top 3, put it down in the comment section, and then I will tell y'all my top 3 out of my top 5. And then we'll talk about that too. Now, with that being said, Now When I Raise J is out. Thank y'all for watching. If y'all want more bike spec reviews, riding videos, well, riding videos gonna take a hold for now. Like I said, I'm still trying to purchase a bike, so y'all just give me a little bit of time. If y'all watched the last video I posted before this one, it's gonna specify why I'm waiting right now, because of some technical reasons. But much love y'all. Be safe. As I end up every video, tell your mommy, your daddy, your grandma, your family you love them, and be safe. Much love y'all. Now When I Raise J is out.